All right, everybody, I am the Night Owl, and welcome to my first ever standard video. That's right, we're going to be playing some standard today. I know I punked you all last time real good with the whole mukbang gag. I'm sure I got you really good with that. But I'm for real this time, we're going to be playing some standard. I'm really excited to show you this. Before I get into the Dech Tech, let me share with you some wisdom that I have inherited from my time as a StarCraft player. And I know I'm about to probably going to mix my metaphors back and forth here a whole bunch. Just follow along, follow with me. You'll get it. You'll understand. You see, when you're playing StarCraft and you have your own game plan going, and you look across the other side of the map, and your opponent is doing something weird, something that you don't know exactly what their strategy is going to be. It's they're going to try to surprise you with something, or maybe they look like they're setting up for a really powerful late game that you're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to be able to beat this sweet late game engine that they're setting up. Well, the common wisdom is just go kill them. Just go across the map and kill them. Don't let them get their weird game plan going. Don't let them drag you into a late game where you're going to spend like 20 minutes playing the game, and that's 20 minutes where you have opportunity to make mistakes and like lose from a winning position and all that. Nah. Just walk across the map, just go kill them. That's what we're going to be doing here today. This is mono black, just go kill them. And much like StarCraft, this also very much applies to Magic. Is your opponent trying to set up some sort of weird, intricate combo that might just threaten to one-shot you? Don't let them do it. Just go kill them. Are they trying to set up some sort of powerful late game engine with high-powered cards at the top end, a whole bunch of grind in their deck? Are they going to try to drag you into a late game where you might end up just drawing 7 lands off the top of your deck and stalling out and dying? Nah, don't worry about that. Just go kill them. Are they trying to set up some sort of intricate synergy-based deck where they need multiple individual pieces on the board working together that's going to threaten to overpower you? Nah, don't let them do it. Just go kill them. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. Let's take a look at the deck. So we have 12 1-drops, and as you see, if you're familiar with Standard at all, you'll know that Mono Black Midrange very much is a deck. So I certainly want to contrast this against the other Mono Black decks in the format. I think this is intrinsically different, starting with 12 1-drops. So we have Cult Conscript here. Cult Conscript has impressed me very much. Generally is in your sequencing with this deck, and in aggro decks, by the way, sequencing is very important. Cult Conscript is maybe the best 1-drop. It really starts the beats very early and has recursive ability. You'll see that this deck has a little bit of a grind to it for an aggro deck, which is kind of nice. Cult Conscript really helps with that. Evolve Sleeper is kind of ubiquitous in the mono black decks, but this it still definitely applies here, starting on turn 1. It's a little bit weaker in this deck, and I only say that like by a touch. I'm certainly not trying to slander this card at all because it is excellent. But in other mono black decks, they tend to have more of a top end, so they don't spend as much of their early mana on other spells. Whereas sometimes my early mana is tied up a little bit. The nice thing about Evolve Sleeper is that in aggro decks, mana efficiency is extremely important, using every single mana on every single turn. Evolve Sleeper helps you do that big time. It plays as a 2-drop. I mean, it's a 1-drop, but it also plays as a 2-drop. It also plays as a 4-drop. Hopefully you don't get to 7 mana, so it plays as like a 7-drop, but it could. It also like offers the ability to draw you a bunch of cards as the game goes on. If you do end up in those kind of stalemate grind type positions, this card helps you pull out of that. So it's really nice in that it fits your curve at like whatever point you really need. Part of the genesis of this deck was my love for Okiba Reckoner Raid. I love this card. I love it. The drain is very relevant, both in that it gets early damage in and pads your life total, so you don't have to fear other aggro decks like Mono Red. But also the 2/2 Menace is actually a very powerful attacker. As I show you the rest of the deck, you'll see that this deck is basically a pile of Menace creatures. Very nice. And so this, yeah, it gives you a little bit of drain. Nice menace attacker, and it also gives you a little bit of reach later on in the game. It's actually not uncommon at all to get your opponents down to a relatively low life total and then finish them with a Reckoner Raid that they can't deal with. 2-drops. So we'll start. We have Tenacious Underdog. This is pretty ubiquitous in all the mono black decks. I would argue that this is actually better in this version of mono black than it is in the more mid-range versions because I'm exerting a lot more pressure. So I can both take advantage of just the 3/2 body a little bit better. I can paying 4 mana and 2 life doesn't hurt as much for me because I will have generally have cast out all of the other cards in my hand before I get to this point where I'm using the Blitz ability. And paying the life doesn't hurt as much because I'm not trying to get into a grindy game state. My life total is typically a lot less precious than the opponent's life total. So 4 mana and 2 life, really not a bad cost for what is really like a 3-power haste speeder that might also come from your graveyard and give you a little bit more gas. This card is excellent. We have Knight of Dusk's Shadow. This is the other card that kind of gave me the idea, the genesis of this deck. Again, another menace attacker. It has the ability to pump, which is, again, if I dump my entire hand on the table, you'll see that a number of the creatures in this deck actually have abilities that I can dump my mana into as the game goes on once I have played out all of my cards, which gives me a lot more like extra gas in the mid to late game. Ideally, not the late game. Hopefully, your opponent is dead. You just went and killed them. But this does have the mana pump ability, which really does help it get through in combat. It makes it very annoying to block. And the most important thing is your opponents can't gain life. There are a lot of nasty life linkers in the set. There's a lot of incidental in the set. I'm so used to doing drafts. In standard right now, there are a lot of incidental life gain effects. This just shuts them all off. It's really a big deal, especially like in any kind of aggro deck. Mono red kind of runs into this problem a little bit. Not that I played a ton of mono red, but just classically, historically, your opponent like gets a big life linker down or casts some sort of big life gain spell, and suddenly your burn spells don't quite mean as much because you lose the ability to just go over the top and hit them with a little bit of burn and finish them. Now with Knight of Dust Shadow, your opponents can't gain life. Really excellent. Keeps your opponent pinned basically, so that they really can't get out of whatever situation you put them in. Really excellent card. Blade of the Oni, another menace creature, typically is just a 3/1 menace, but this card is actually secretly a bunch of cards kind of built into one because of the reconfigure ability. It's a 2-mana 3/1 menace, really good to get the early beats going, but also it can help get your smaller creatures through, like Cult Conscripts can kind of drop off as bigger cards start to come into play because it's kind of the worst attacker of all the cards because it doesn't have any sort of get through ability. It doesn't have menace. It has only 2 power, so on. Reconfigure really can help shove through creatures that otherwise don't have attacks, and it's a 5/5, really big. So it also allows me to do things like, I don't know, equip a Cult Conscript, put Blade on the Conscript, get an attack in as a 5/5 menace. Conscript dies, maybe something else later dies. I get to kind of do the same play again and continuously shove with this 5/5 menace. Really excellent in that regard. And then also, it's kind of a 6-mana spell too in some cases, where you have a board, and you have 6 mana, and you can pay this for 2, immediately reconfigure with it, and it's kind of like a giant haste monster. Like if you then upgrade one of your Cult Conscripts in that way, like this goes from a 2/1 to being a 5/5 menace, like in a surprise fashion, like all in one turn. Really helps push damage through. Excellent card. And then we have Life of Toshiro, kind of the worst of the 2-drops, but really excellent in its own way. There are a good number of 1 toughness creatures that this card picks on quite a bit. I specifically think of the what is the card? The Adversary, the white. It's a 3/1 lifelink mythic. I can't think of the name right now. This kind of picks on that in the early game. It kills Thalia. There's a number of tokens. Things like Phoenix Chick, so it helps pad your life total in that way. So the -1/-1 can be very relevant. And then really chiefly what you're hoping to do is use the +2/+2 to help shove your creatures through. Both, again, like Cult Conscript, who might need a little help attacking on their own, but you also have a bunch of menace creatures in the deck. So +2/+2 on a menace creature, gigantic. You already have to double block these things, and when the creature is so big that it actually threatens to 2-for-1 you on its own, or just can't even be double blocked successfully, really, really nice. So this pushes through a ton of damage, and then also turns into an attacker in its own right. Here we have, and then in the 4-drop slot, you'll see we have no 3-drops. I was playing Liliana in the deck for a while, but ultimately I decided that the deck, it seems like the plus discard ability would be kind of nice with both Tenacious Underdog and Cult Conscript in the deck. So you have a little bit more, even than some of the other mono black decks, but then really most decks in general, you have a little bit more of an ability to take advantage of the equal discard by discarding creatures that don't mind as much being in the graveyard, or you can at least get them out of it later. The biggest issue, that, however, is that this deck just isn't intending to win in a grindy card advantage sense. In other words, it just doesn't take advantage of the fact that you're making your opponent discard cards that much. Ideally, your opponent is dying with cards in their hand anyways. So the Edict was nice, but ultimately I decided just having creatures that applied more pressure and then just more like straight up removal is the better way to go. So you see I skipped the 3-drop slot. We just go straight to 4 with Shielded the Apocalypse. Shieldred is, I think, the best of the 4-drop options for this strategy. Other considerations being Henrika Domnathi and Sorin, the Mirthless, I believe it's called. Sorin is a reasonable choice, but again, you're not really looking to grind too much with this deck. If I was playing, so I've been chiefly playing Best of 1. If I was playing Best of 3, I believe Sorin deserves a spot in the sideboard. But in the main deck, I think it's more important to just play a creature that is immediately a beater, and a high power one at that, and one that that threatens to immediately drain my opponent's life total. You see, between this and Reckoner Raid, you actually have like a decent amount of reach in the deck, so that if you do get blocked up, you actually can kill your opponent over the top. Really nice. So I believe Shieldred deserves the 4-drop slot consideration. The removal spells, I have a 3-4 split with Infernal Grasp and Cut Down. Infernal Grasp is just pretty ubiquitous. It is a little bit more expensive. I mean, it's twice as expensive as Cut Down, but the ability to destroy any creature is just too valuable to pass up on. And then, again, this deck does not care about your own life total nearly as much, so losing the life on Infernal Grasp really doesn't hurt that bad. You are almost always the aggressor in every deck. It's occasionally you end up in racing situations, but even in those kind of situations, losing 2 life to destroy whatever creature is like threatening to beat you in the race, generally worth it. So Infernal Grasp is certainly the best removal spell to be playing. And then 3 Cut Downs. Cut Down is decent. Part of me wishes that this was another spell. However, I think it is the best option. The reason I kind of wish it was another spell sometimes is because this is the card that is most likely to get caught in my hand. I think in most of the games that I do lose, it generally involves Cut Down being stuck in my hand to some degree. However, it's kind of too good to pass up because it does get a lot of problem creatures out of the way. There's a whole host of creatures that this destroys. The problem is just there's some decks that don't play any that this really gets. And because you're an aggro deck and I'm trying to play, like, again, you want to use all of your mana every turn in the most efficient way possible. And so just having a 1 mana spell that I can, like, on turn 3, I can go turn 1, 1 drop, turn 2, 2 drop, turn 3, 2 drop plus Cut Down. That's really important to be able to do in most scenarios. So every now and then Cut Down's a little awkward, but when it's good, it's really, really, really excellent. So I do like the 3-4 split here. There's something to be considered for going down on Cut Downs and maybe adding some sort of other effect to the deck, but right now this is how I have it. I think it's important to have some amount of way to get blockers out of the way, especially because I've talked about this a little bit already, but there's a bunch of menace in the deck. And the thing is, when you have this much menace, is that your removal becomes like extra good because all your creatures take 2 creatures to block out of your opponent anyways. So picking off individual creatures actually shoves through a lot more damage. If your opponent has 4 creatures and you have 3, you have like a Reckoner Raid, a Knight, or I guess a Nezumi Road Captain, a Knight, and a Blade of the Oni. Your opponent has 4 creatures, right? Well, they can only block 2 of your creatures, and then you kill one of them with an Infernal Grasp. Well, it's like you took out 2 blockers, right? So being able to remove blockers when you have all of this menace in your deck really, really, really is a big deal. So I don't think I want to cut down on the cut downs yet, but I'm keeping my eye on this one. And then the land split, I'm only playing 23 swamps, which I think is pretty good. The deck does have a good number of ways to spend additional mana between Knight, Underdog, Blade, Sleeper, Cult Conscript. You see, like, there's a bunch of abilities on my creatures that allow me to use my mana. However, there is kind of an issue in that a lot of it relies on my creatures staying on the board. And so, for example, Evolved Sleeper can be a mana sink, but if my Evolved Sleeper dies, then clearly I don't have that mana sink anymore. And so if you end up really threat light, like if I draw like 6 or 7 lands, it really can be a problem because if I only have a couple of threats and then a bunch of lands and then those threats die, I actually don't have mana sinks. Make sense? So I only play 23 lands. I think that that's about right. Excuse me. I'm playing 2 Takanumas. I think that's about enough that I don't run into the problems where I have multiple Takanuma hands. But I still have access to this effect sometimes. You only use the ability every now and then. I think I've only channeled this a couple of times since I've been playing this deck, but it's pretty painless just to have it in the deck. Like, again, I very rarely run into the situations where I have like double Takanuma and it actually hurts me in any way. So it's just kind of a nice bonus added option that I can get. And so yeah, I think 2 is about the right number. I think 3 I would run into too many like double Takanuma hands and it'd be kind of a problem for how often I'm activating this card. So that's the deck. We're going to take this through, I'm going to do this draft style. I'm going to take this through the best of 1 ladder, and I'm going to try to get 7 wins before 3 losses. So yeah, I will see you in the games. Okay, here we go, round 1. I'm stoked to show you all this. Let's see, we're up against Perry Timbo. Do we got a good one? We go first. This is a reasonable hand. I get nervous when I get hands that have a couple removal spells is good, but there are some matchups where the removal spells are kind of bad, and so seeing a couple in your opener can be cause for concern. But I think that this is fine. Mostly against the blue decks, ironically enough, that it's like the biggest problem. Though I'm glad that they're Infernal Grasps. If this is mono blue, which typically it's just mono blue that leads with an island like this. Infernal Grasp is way better than Cut Down. Cut Down is one of the worst cards in this matchup. Okay, thought so. Fading Hope. This deck it's really good. This deck drives me nuts to play against. So I think what I'm going to do here, actually, so first I'm going to attack. And then I'm actually going to play Evolved Sleeper because it gets around the Make Disappear. Is that what it is? The counter unless it's 2 mana? Yeah. Baby Mana Leak. It's hard to know if they have it or not, but you want to play around it there. I like their Shark Sleeves. Shieldred's okay. Shieldred gets countered a lot, but it's really good if you do stick them. Delver, sure. Passive attackers. I think I'm just going to Infernal Grass that right now. This is better use of my mana. Man, they might spend their mana to counter this. Oh, Fading Hope. Oh, that's fine. That is fine. Okay, I got a Blade of the Oni. I think that's what I want to cast here, so I think I'll pump this once. Play Blade. I want to play that over Underdog because Underdog is a little safer to run into counter spells with its Blitz ability, or even if I just like play it like with two mana spells next turn. Yeah, Double Delver, sure. So I think I'm going to Infernal Grasp one of them, and then attack so they can't block the Blade. They'll still block the Conscript, but I think that that's okay if that's what they do. I think if I keep Blade of the Oni, so the Menace creatures are really, really, really important in this matchup. Because a lot of times they'll just have like one Tolarian Terror or one Haughty Djinn or something like that. And so the Menace makes it really tough. Oh, interesting. They just take it. Well, this is going to really pin them. Even if they get the 3-2 here, and they don't. Well, they got another blue source. There's Haughty Djinn. But they're just dead, right? Because if I attack with everything, they can either, yeah, they're just dead. Yeah. Yeah, there's no blocks. It's funny. I've kind of, I wouldn't call it a bad habit. It's good to like double check things, but you know, Magic's the kind of game where anything could go wrong at any moment sometimes, and so sometimes I'll just like have lethal, and I'll be like, is this lethal? Is this? And I'll have to like stare at it. My poor opponent's probably like, come on, just attack me, bro. But in there I am like doing like napkin math, trying to make sure that like my lethal attack is in fact lethal. That time it was pretty clear cut. So yeah, I think that this worked out well. Cold Conscript can be a little bit of a liability in this matchup too, because it can basically never attack through Djinn or Terror. Again, the Menace creatures are really super important. Underdog's nice because of how it interacts with the counter spells. Like it's just like a recurring threat and a hasty threat, both of which are kind of good, even though it does get blocked by Djinn and Terror as well. I tend to find that at least this deck is better against the Delver versions of the deck. It's hard to know if every version that I'm playing against, because this is actually a really common deck in Standard right now, and I don't know if every version plays Delver, but I do know that my win rate goes up against the Delver versions of the deck, both because both of my removal spells are good against them, and then also Life of Tashiro is also really good against the Delver, and it doesn't like really effectively block me all that well. So when I see a couple Delvers out of my opponent, it's a good sign. The worst situations are where it's like they go like Fading Hope, counterspell, Djinn plus counterspell or something like that, and then it like they get a big fat Djinn, and I can't actually stick anything to attack enough until eventually I'll stick like one Menace creature, but then Haughty Djinn like attacks me for 10 twice and I lose. So not this time. They kind of choked on land. Lucky for us. All right, cool. Go round 2. All right, round 2. Strong start. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Opponent goes first. Being on the play, clearly, I mean, this is an aggro deck. Being on the play is way better, but I think that this hand is acceptable. Deathcap Glade. Okay. I think that this is a good sign. I think I'm favored against the kind of decks that play Deathcap Glade. I'm not positive. Okay. Well, clear first attack. Don't like playing like you could do Life of Tashiro to like do the pump, but I don't like doing that when they got mana untapped. Now this is always the question. Actually, this is like one of the tougher sequencing questions in the deck. Do you play Blade or do you play Knight? With the open mana, I'm going to play... Well... Actually, no, I think I'm going to play Blade. If they kill it, that's fine. And they don't, so that's actually way good. This is a little bit better if it sticks. Because they're playing green, they could have some amount of life gain. What is this? Mill 3 cards and return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. So they mill Diagraph Rebirth, and they get a Rafine's Tower. Interesting. What, Dusk Mangler? Sacrifice a creature, discard a card, pay for life. Each one discards a card and loses 4 life. Okay, so this is some kind of reanimator or something. Alright, so here... Ooh, so do I do Life of Toshiro plus on this, or do I attack with both, let them block, and then Life of Toshiro minus? I think I want to do the plus so I can, like, keep attacking. Yeah. I think just getting the damage in is maybe a little bit better. Drawing a lot of lands here, though. This is really bad. And you see I don't really have, like, any of my good mana sinks. Kind of a problem. Alright, so they play the tower. I got 3 mana. Another farmer. Okay. What is this? For each creature that died this turn. Another swamp. That's so bad. Do I trade the blade off? So I could attack with both. Take 4. They would trade the blade with the farmer. Or I could equip here. This would become a 7/7. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. Yeah. I think that this is the way to go. All these swamps are so bad, though. Shadow Prophecy. Oh, that's huge. I accept. They got a well-stocked graveyard. I could end up in trouble, but... What they've been. So they have 1 untapped mana. I drew a Cult Conscript. We will attack with the 1. And then, yeah, I play Knight and Conscript. And then I'm not even that afraid of a Wrath because I'll end up with a Blade. It's like, say they drag to the bottom. I'll be able to both buy a Conscript back and have Blade left on the field. Okay. Is this good enough to save them? I mean, it's close. Oh, they actually can't gain life because of my Knight, right? So actually, it is not. I just serve, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Knight really coming in clutch there. For a second, I forgot I had the Knight, which is silly because this is one of the most important reasons to have Knight in the first place, is to stop the life gain. Really pulling its weight here. Very important card. I think my win rate goes way up when I have Knight on the battlefield. Blade kind of showing off there a little bit too. This doesn't happen. You don't reconfigure this card a ton, but when you do, it's really valuable. This Conscript is getting blocked up. It just couldn't attack. Suddenly it was like a lethal attacker with Menace. Gives you Wrath protection. Really, really quite nice. But kind of like I was talking about, like, Flood's always bad, right? You never want to, like, totally flood out. But it gets really bad with this deck sometimes. Like, it might be worth considering cutting a land or two. But because I also have things like Blade, I can pump mana into things like Knight. I want to buy Conscripts back. I have Shieldred. It's like, I have, like, things to do with my land up to a point. So it's kind of difficult to know, but I'm kind of lucky we got out of that one. What? Because there's like 5 spells, 8 land. That's not amazing, but we got there. Cool. All right, see you for round 3. All right, round 3. Round 3. Opponent goes first again. Oh, this is one of those hands where it's really tough to know whether I keep it or not. On the draw, you really hope to have one of your 1-drops. But I do, otherwise I have a mix of creatures and removal. And not too many lands. I don't think I can mulligan this, but I'm really hoping to draw a 1-drop. Nope. Alright. What Is this farmland? Okay. Kind of problem. So I'll lead with Knight here, both because this deck looks like it has life gain effects, and also Knight can, like, attack into these with threat of activation. Yeah. So we'll attack. I don't think there's anything that blows me out here. Resolute reinforcements. Okay. Yeah, I think it's... Is it worth it to not play the blade in order to pump? Yeah, I think so. Not ideal. But, I mean, I just traded... I traded a lot of tempo, but I also just traded for like a card and a half. Then again, they still have another Join the Dance in the graveyard, so it was still only like half a card in that regard too. Arlen. That's a big problem. I could go Grasp, kill Arlen. That might be the move. It's really inefficient with my resources, but I don't think I can allow Arlen to live. Also, these Grasp, because they're like a token-based deck, these Grasps might not get much better. And if I just attack with Sleeper and then double pump, what'll happen is Arlen will flip. I'll trade off. I'll have to trade off my turn and my Evolved Sleeper for their 2 tokens, and Arlen will flip. Yeah, no, I think I just have to kill it. Yeah, being on the draw and not starting on 1 is a big problem. Maybe I should mulligan hands like that way more aggressively because it's just so important. Oh, now they have an Elspeth. And they grabbed Wedding Announcement. Okay. I'm getting to the point where I might be able to like play Blade, equip Blade. So, yep. So we attack Elspeth. Pump once, and then actually, so I'll only do this for 1. And then I'll play Underdog. Right? Do I play Underdog or do I just go Blade Blade? Underdog's a little bit of a better attacker into the token board. But, well, I guess in both cases, like, they have to, like, kill 2 tokens to trade off 1 of them. And then I could ostensibly blitz Underdog. Whereas, like, the equip Blade, like, so playing Blade and equipping Blade is, like, kind of a cool, like, surprise move. But when I already have 1 Blade on the field, it's not like they'll even, like, think that they need to play around. Or they'll already see it, like, there to, like, be played around, you know? Whereas now I can, like, keep the Underdog as, like, a blitz option. Another Wedding Announcement. This is going well. Has a shield counter on it? Interesting. Well, I think I'm going to do this. Hopefully they don't have any action. If they have no spells, I can get Elspeth off the table here, which is a big deal. They have a Resolute Reinforcements. Well, I think I'm probably going to lose now. Hard to say. They could have blocked with the first strike token, though I suppose they don't know what I have in my hand. This is about to get really bad for me, though. Lifelink? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's the play? Well, I'll activate this once. I think that... Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it's not even... Huh. So it goes up to 3. So there's no point in, like, blitzing the underdog because they have the 4/4 first strike. I think this is bugged. I don't think it's a 3/3. Right? I think it's a visual bug. Base power and toughness 3/3. Oh, it overwrote the base power. I've never seen that before. Interesting. Interesting. Bad, but interesting. Um, and that's also not what I wanted to do. I meant to do the other reconfigurability. So really awkward sequence of plays there. That's okay. I think I was losing this one anyways. And we just learned something there. So, yeah, it overwrote the base power. I've never seen that. Well, lesson learned. Mm-hmm. Mother's playing defense. How do I ever... I haven't even dealt any damage to them. And they have multiple planeswalkers on the field. I don't think I win this one. Well, I can stop their lifelink, but I don't think I could stop them from killing me. Still, we'll play the knight. What'd they get? Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll never attack through all of this. It would be reasonable for me to just concede here, but I tend not to do that. Especially when I'm making videos, but really just typically I tend not to concede mid-game. First strike. Yeah. That said, I think even if I like block, take 6, lose my entire board. Nah, I am just dead. Alright, 2-1. So that was pretty brutal. So, yeah, like I said, not having a 1-drop, not that a 1-drop would have, like, fundamentally changed what happened there, but it could have. Like, not having a 1-drop on the draw is a big problem. So maybe I should mulligan more aggressively hands like that, even though that hand looked reasonable. Kind of like I said during the Dech Tech, if there were better 1-drops to put in the deck, I think I would, but I just don't think that there's anything that worth it for additional 1-mana creatures that I like well enough to be sacrificing in other parts of the deck. I'll take another look at it because it is so important to have those, but yeah, that's that. Cool. All right, so round 4. All right, round 4, we're 2-1. I have some throat comfort tea because I hurt my throat talking so much doing these. This hand is okay. I'm not in love with it. Got 1-drop, 2-drop, kind of. Well, opponent mulliganed. On the draw again. I really wonder what the play draw win rate is with this deck. It feels way different being on the play, I'll tell you. Like I said, all aggro decks care about that. It really feels like it adjusts my win rate. Which is kind of a mark against the deck, but so it goes. I'll play the swamp. Start with Reckoner Raid. This is what? Yeah, Bant land. Spara's headquarters. Okay. What's this? Do I just play them both out? I think so. I think that's better. Start with that one. Okay. You gonna spend your mana? I hope not. No? Okay. It's either a good or a bad sign. It's a bad sign if it's because they're like, oh, I'm just gonna wrath this anyways. No big deal. Now I have stuff to spend my mana on, which is good. Removal spells are looking kind of bad, though. Really hoping to not see another land for basically the rest of the game. Ugh. Fabled Mirror Breaker. That's kind of bad. Oh, here we go. Okay. I think I let them trade off with the Cult Conscript if they want. Or do I cut down and play the Knight? Maybe I cut down and play the Knight, I think. Well, actually, maybe oh boy. So if I let them trade off with the Cult Conscript, I can level Sleeper for 1 and play the Knight. Conscript dies, but so it goes. Because then what I could do is I could save my cut down for the flipped version of Fable. How much do I want to just get the 2 damage in and spend the cut down now? Also, it means I don't evolve Sleeper. If they don't block, I will be cut downing the... yeah, I think I go for it. If they don't block, I will be cut downing this, because that means that they want the treasure token, probably. Yeah. Wait, no. Yeah, so if they're looking to get the treasure, I will spend the cut down on that, and then play the Knight. And now hopefully I don't get like Elder Dragon whatever. I forget what that card's called. The 4-mana Saga. That'll kill all my dudes. And then make a dragon. Well, now I've got double red for it anyways. I'm feeling decent about my spot now. My opponent's kind of getting to the stage of the game where they might be able to slam a Haymaker or two. But if they don't, I really get to beat the snot out of them. Battle him. Gain 4? That's a problem. Oh, but they don't gain 4. Right. I keep forgetting that. I'm so afraid of lifelink. There was an argument there for not doing the second sleeper activation so that if I do get Wrathed here, I can bring back Conscript at end of turn as like a form of Wrath protection. Hopefully this isn't like another Battle Hymn. And they got their second red. Lightning Strike. Yeah. I have 2 cards in hand. Oh, all this land is bad, man. Yeah. The flood is killing me a little bit. Now I feel pretty good, though. It's just going to be hard for them to win. Bank Buster, that won't do it. That's a really good sign. That smacks of desperation. Because, yeah, they'll draw a card here, hopefully get something. But I can't imagine what they could get that would answer both of these. Cool, got there. Alright. Alright. Yeah, interesting deck. I wonder if what was going on the other side of the table. I mean, it wasn't bad. This is... Fable of the Mirror Breaker is insane. It seems like a red kind of spell-based deck. With Fable and Bankbuster, I don't know, I haven't really seen anything quite like it, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. That's also kind of what's hard about this standard format, is that there are so many different combinations of decks and colors and all that, that, like, it's hard to know. Like, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, so they might have, like, green spells or something. I was like, oh, Bantland? Like, I've played against Shauna before, the Bant 3/3 lifelinker, who's just, like, a nightmare for me. So I was worried we were seeing that, but it wasn't. So it's really hard to know like what to expect out of any of your opponent's decks, even if it's an archetype that you've seen before. There's so many like different ways that you can like modify each of the archetypes and like how much you can lean into like making a bunch of tokens or like playing a bunch of wraths or having planeswalkers or like, you know, there's a lot of different looks that every single deck can present that like it becomes really challenging kind of to like know, because as an aggro deck you have kind of this, you know, as folks, I mean, I think that this perception is like somewhat dissipated over the years, but there used to be this like perception that aggro decks are just kind of mindless. You just like slam your creatures and just attack, and then that's it. And it's like, oh, you win the game. Which there's an element of truth to that in some games where it's like I just played my dudes and attacked my opponent, and then they died, and like that will happen. But a lot of times you have to like predict what your opponent is going to do and like base your sequencing on that, or you have to like make choices with the imperfect information. You'll have to like you'll be looking at a turn trying to like figure out like if you should like apply more creatures or like pump the creatures you have or like activate abilities or like anything like that, and you're staring at like 5 open mana of 4 different colors and like 4 cards in their hand, and it's like well, there sure is a lot to think about here, isn't there? And then you end up in situations too where like it doesn't really matter. Like it's like they have both of the options you're afraid of, and so there's just you're just punished no matter what, you know. So it can be very very challenging. But this time we got there. So cool, 3-1. All right, round 5. Hopefully I'll be on the play for one of these games. I am not. Okay. That's okay. This hand is decent. This hand is decent. I think I need to shave some land of this deck, though. I think that that's true. Really hoping they're playing a deck that cut down is a real card. What is this? Gross. Swamp. Okay. I think I'll play Reckoner Raid. I can let them do this for a turn. If they pump this, like that's fine. I can cut down it on the next turn. Another sleeper. Okay. And they pump. Okay, so now I'm going to play one of my 2-drops instead, and I think it's going to be Blade, because it's going to be more mana efficient for one. Oh, geez, Liliana. Okay. All right. Right. So what's the play? I think I just play Knight, and then I'll wait and cut down. Should I have waited? Probably, right? If they lay a land, it could get awkward. Trespasser. I don't like that. That's okay. I could, well, except it's going to be tough to kill it with the Liliana. That's alright. They don't gain life, at least. Probably Takanuma, right? Yeah, they discard their own underdog. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll cut down the 2/2. Yeah. And then I'll grasp Trespasser, discarding Swamp, which is a little annoying. And then attack, attack. Cool. Now they might, okay, they're just gonna hit. No pump. Wonder what they got. Now they pump. Oh. I'll pass. They're gonna do this. I think I'm gonna kill it now. The reason why I do this is because I don't want them to be able to draw a card on it next turn, so. Okay. You can do that. Oh, their own Shieldred. Well, they can't gain life. Really could stand to get my own going, though. It's going to be tight. Tainted Adversary. Okay. And a Occult Conscript. Interesting. So they're playing a deck that's a little bit closer to mine. They're going to attack? I don't think so. Alright. Oh, my turn. Swamp. Good. Uh-huh. So I can't really attack with Knight. I think I just play my own Shieldred and pass. They really don't have any plays if I do that. right? Well, they could blitz. They'll go to 4. And then they'll attack me for... I'll still have to... I'll have to block like a bunch. Then I have basically no good blocks for these, but I think it would actually be lethal for them if they did that, so... Yeah, it's just no attacks. Hopefully they didn't draw anything good. I think I'm in winning shape depending on what they draw here. Hopefully it's nothing. Also, if they let me untap with Sleeper and I can give it Death Touch, I'll just be in much better shape. What do I do? I think I just pass. I don't know. That's weird to me that they pass with a card in their hand. Makes me nervous. What happens if I attack with Sleeper? They'd probably just block with Conscript, right? But maybe that's good enough. Nah, I think I want to be able to block through Shieldred. We'll just play my own Conscript. Oh. What are they getting? Oh, they can't get a Planeswalker. Oh, they got Trespasser? Okay. Well, I don't care about that. They now can no longer blitz underdog. This is an interesting one because a lot of the mono black decks I play actually don't have like this kind of like, oh, so they're playing Reckoner Raid too, so they're playing a deck much more like mine. This is really cool actually. This is the first time that I've seen a mono black deck that looks sort of like how mine looks, which is really kind of nice. I'm not playing Tainted Adversary. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. I think it's only okay. Also, this is a card I've considered adding because it both because the drain is nice because it's another way to give me reach, and it does like help me beat like some of the graveyard effects. Like the thing is, I don't need to beat other people's underdogs typically because like the more typical looking mono black decks, my underdogs are way better than theirs. Like they can't if they're playing like a card like say they're playing like a deck that has like Reckoner Bankbuster or something like that. Like a more late game grindy version of the deck, their life total is way more precious than mine is, and they can't afford to like spend 4 mana and 2 life to like attack me for 3 and draw. So I don't have to fear other people's underdogs typically. So I don't need to beat them. What's this? The Trespasser. Okay. Yeah, they get me for 2. And they play their own Sleeper. Okay. Alright, so I take... so if I attack with everything, the thing is they'll kill Shieldred, so they... Oh, but the only way... So they can block 1, 2, 3, 4... They can't block Knight. So if they block 2 on Knight, and then 1, 2, 3, it's still bad, right? Because yeah, they go like double block, yeah, and then it just like they're like yeah, something like double or like block, double block, block, take 2. Because they block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Yep, that is that. So we'll see if they can just get enough damage through. I don't think they're going to be able to. It depends on what, it really depends on what they draw here. It's gonna have to be good. Oh, we got it. Cool. What does that make me? 4 and 1? I think so. I think so. Yeah, very interesting. Like I said, you know, it's most mono black decks don't look like this. It was cool playing like another aggro version of the deck. Liliana's okay. I mean, that was kind of brutal. Like they did like kill when they killed my blade, and then I had to like spend resources to get through and kill it. I don't really remember how that went down. But yeah, it was kind of nice. It was kind of nice. Yeah, Graveyard Trespasser is one that I'm thinking about slipping into the deck. Tainted Adversary is okay. The thing is, a 2-mana 2/3, even though it has Death Touch, isn't like an incredible attacker. Like it's like it can attack into anything, but it also just like trade off with a bunch of stuff, and that sounds fine. But just trading isn't really good enough. Like if it just trades with something, like I don't need to trade with this deck. I need to get damage in because if I just trade with my opponent's resources, eventually most decks will start like landing like big haymakers. They'll start casting like Titan of Industry and stuff if like I just like, you know, trade 1 for a while and don't actually kill them. I need cards that actually get through and deal damage, you know what I mean? So it's okay. And then I think that the kick on this one is like only fine. Like yeah, the additional 2/2 decays are like pretty decent, I guess, but for a 5-mana spell, like a 3/4 Death Touch with 2 decayed 2/2s, it's okay. I played with this card a little bit last season, and I found it to be fine, but just not quite enough. Just not quite good enough, you know? Something to consider, though. Something to consider. Like I said, I like Trespasser quite a bit. Cool. All right, see you for next round. All right, baby, round 6. Round 6. We're up against Saitama. I'm going to get one punched. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, this looks like a reasonable hand as long as these cut downs are good. If these cut downs are bad, this is a really bad hand. Not a good sign. Typically, Rafine's Tower decks don't play too many cut down targets. We'll see, though. Okay. This is a good sign. Alright, please don't be Path of Peril. Please don't be Path of Peril. Please don't be Path of Peril. Okay. We did it, team. I think I'm just going to jam Shieldred. Well, what if it's depopulate next turn? No, I think I'm just going to do this. Getting Shieldred down is really good, but, I suppose I would have, Underdog afterwards, but it's a little too scary. Whereas now if they depopulate, yep, okay, see, they depopulate. Now I'm just going to jam Shieldred. They have to answer Shieldred, be at 2, and be just afraid of Underdog for the rest of the game. So yeah, they both have to both answer this and not die to Underdog. Possible. It's a fairy. Does this do it? When target artifact, when target creature, when target land, untap the target, tap the target you don't control, you gain 2 life. So they can gain 2. Is that good enough? I gained some life. I'll take the shot at killing them. Oh, haha. I took the honor roll away there. Alright. Cool. Yeah, just the beats. They were just a little too slow. And successfully played around the depopulate there. There are so many wraths in this format that part of me wonders, like, so I really enjoy this deck, and I am trying to sell it to you guys a little bit, because I think it's cool when people pick up the decks that I play. But if I'm being real, there are so many wraths in this set. I mean, you heard me, like, worrying about Path of Peril, and then it got depopulated. There's also, what is it? Is it Farewell? Is that the card? The 6-mana Exile All? That card will destroy me sometimes, because it just, like, it gets rid of all of your action. All of my board creatures. It'll get rid of all the creatures on my board. It'll get rid of, like, the enchantments, because typically this deck has like a lot of Wrath protection in it because I'll have like, oh geez, I'm gonna look at the battlefield. Anyways, um, yeah, I have like a lot of Wrath protection because it's like, yeah, I'll have creatures like in the enchantment zone, like the sagas, like ready to go. Creatures in the battlefield, and then I have like a bunch of creatures in the graveyard ready to go. And then I could also have like Blade equipped to a creature, and there's like a lot of ways to get around Wraths. And then they'll cast like Farewell, and just exile everything, and I have no action anymore. That's really bad. There's Burn Down the House. There is, yeah, Path of Peril. There is Drag to the Bottom. There is By Invitation Only. There is Elder Dragon War to an extent. Is that what the card's called? I gotta remember the name of the card. But you guys know the one, the 4-mana one that deals 2 to everything. That really does like kill my whole board basically, unless I have Shielded out. There's just a million Wraths. There's a million Wraths. And so many decks play them. Like there's so many decks like in the format that have the basic structure of like Wraths and cards that don't care about Wrath that much. Either they're too big for it, or they're Planeswalkers, or it's like Wedding Invitation, where it's like they're kind of expendable anyways. You know, really common. So you got to be able to beat it. All right, cool. Round 7. All right, round 7. Up against Ragnarok 87. Ragnarok's a StarCraft player. I could be in danger. This looks like a good hand. Yeah. Exactly as much interaction as I want. 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, basically. Well, it's only kind of a 3-drop. It's actually just a better as like a 2-drop, but we'll find some more action too. So, and I'm on the play. Things are looking up, gang. And my opponent started on tap land? You'll love to see it. What is it? Naya one? Jetmir's Garden. Wonder if this is a Kami War deck. We'll see. Guardian of New Benalia. Okay. What do I do about that? Could just attack into it. It's kind of annoying because they'll just discard to make it indestructible. But I think that's fine. It's really kind of annoying, honestly. But I think it's better if I do this and then just, like, play out my creatures. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, they trade it for a land. It's bad. Not the end of the world, though. A wedding announcement, yeah. You gonna bash? I didn't think so. Oh, that's actually a pretty good draw. Yeah, so go live for Toshiro. And then I think I'm going to Infernal Grasp this, because they will have to discard, and then I'll get a big attack in. Because alternatively, I could pump Sleeper, but I wouldn't want to attack with Sleeper anyways. I could attack with, like, these two, not Sleeper. Nah, I just spend the Grasp. I just spend the Grasp. And they can make it indestructible, that's fine. But they're going to run out of the ability to do this eventually. Yep. And they take a decent hit here. Queen all in all. Okay. Well, they're going to get 2/1/1s. I might be in trouble. This card's so annoying. And it's like everybody's playing it too. Three, 2/1/1. Could pump this twice. It becomes a 3/3. And attack with both. These two. Alternatively, I could equip Blade of the Oni on Cult Conscript, and then they have to block with, like, All in All and Guardian. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. They're not exactly running away with the game, so I think if I just keep applying steady pressure, I think I'll be okay. If they want to discard here, that's fine too. I'll go like that. Or, I don't know how indestructible works with that. I think it's fine. It's one of those interactions, it's like I should know, but like I always second guess. I'm like, wait. I will deal enough damage to both, right? Yeah. Perfect. Hopefully this isn't something insane. Oh boy. Okay. And this is going to become like, what, a 5/6? Start attacking if you want. Kind of brave. That's really brave. What has vigilance? Man, that's annoying. No. Blade of the Oni. Well, I think I gotta attack with Conscript again. I don't really think there's an option there. Really wish I could kill Jetmir. So I could equip here. I could just make this a Death Toucher. I could equip here. Staring down a lot of damage, but they have like no resources. I think I equip here. The reason I'm doing this is because then they can't like just serve with everything. Like if they attack with Jetmir, I'll just block Jetmir. I'm taking 9, sure, but then I like threaten like a big attack back. Gallic Readers, okay. Okay. Their creatures are huge. No attacks. It's actually kind of good. Because now I can make this a Death Toucher, and like their ability to attack like goes like way down. I can't really attack. Because what would they do? They would trade it for like... Well, they would trade it for like either like Queen All, which would be decent, but I think I need to leave it back. Then I'm going to have a Death Toucher. So let's say they go like block, trade it for Queen All. Which seems like the best bet. I would get the 3/1 back on the field. I would have another Death Toucher. Then control 3 more creatures. They also can't afford to sacrifice a creature. If they just take it, then I have a Death Toucher, and then second block, and it'd be 6/10, and I'd have to chump, and then trade. But I'd be trading with Jetmir, and then they would just take 5 back. Again, like if they just attack with everything, I could live through the turn, and then yeah, we'll do it. Alternatively, I could just like play Blade and Sleeper, and really put them in a pickle. Yeah, we'll go like this. Right. Because then even if they like full attack, like I threaten to like attack back for a bunch. Or I could go Cult Conscript and play Sleeper. Gives me another 2/1, and then I have like a bigger board. Like maybe I want to take advantage of the fact that I can make Conscript this turn. Or no, it's Conscript that just... Or no, it was Life of Tashiro that just died. So I could get Conscript back. I think just making a Death Toucher so they can't just like attack me freely is like a little bit better. But it's like kind of a horrible use of my mana. But if I just do this, they're going to just like... If they just go Conscript Sleeper, they're going to punish me hard, right? Or what if I go Oni Sleeper? I'm just not attacking back for enough that I think that this works. Yeah, so they'll probably attack the Guardian. I'll evolve Sleep or they'll discard whatever they drew. Okay. Resolve. This also seems brave. 2 top. I don't like that. Maybe I just block with this. Do I want to keep? How bad do I want to keep this Blade of the Oni? I'm kind of bad. But if I just block, I could then evolve this up to a 3 power guy. Nah. So they have to discard, unless they just want to trade. Yeah, it's a land, okay. Knight of Dusk's Shadow. Well, I can tech back for 3, put them to 7, and then like play out Blade and Knight, and then just like chump one of their creatures and then like have like a really good menace attack. I don't know what they're drawing. I think that's my best bet, though. Whenever you attack with one more creatures, create that money one, then you control 10 more creatures. Jeez, okay. Oh, do I just die? Do I just die to this? And they all have vigilance? That's absurd. And they all have trample. So I'm getting attacked for 18 trample damage. And I have 4... Nah, alright. Oh, that was an annoying game. That was a really annoying game. I felt like I didn't need too much more to get out from under it. This card really kind of beat me up. I just couldn't get it off the board, and they traded like multiple lands for it, and an extra copy of Queen All-in-All, I think. So it was really obnoxious. Just got stonewalled by their 2/2. I'm not sure what I could have done. I think my sequencing was okay. I think the choices I made were all right. I was just behind. Yeah, tough one. I don't know, I'm trying to think it through and see what else I could have done. But it was hard. It was so hard to beat this Jetmir because of the vigilance. Giving vigilance to everything made it so I could just never attack. Because I could absorb their attacks well enough, I couldn't attack back at all, really. I don't know, it wouldn't have taken too much to get out from under that. Yeah, anyways. Alright, cool. 5 into. Okay, round 8. Yeah, that was an interesting deck last time. I really got to think through. I go first, but I have none of my 1-drops. That's that I still think I keep this hand. Starting with the 1-drop is so much better, though. Lead with Blade. Just the best attacker. Light Pause, huh? What do you do? Or, if you cast it for an equal, then you put the card on the battlefield. Attach to Light Pause. Okay. So I think first I attack. It's whenever an aura enters the battlefield, right? Yeah. Do I just kill Light Pause now? I don't think... I don't think I let Light Pause live. I think it's the difference between killing Light Pause now or letting them try to cast an aura first and then killing Light Pause. My worry is that like I try to do that and then they cast like Shore Up or something like that, and then I really end up in trouble. Like, how much do I need to like try to get the extra value out of killing Light Pause here? Because that's a game losing sequence. If they go aura shore up, I probably lose this game. I don't even know what aura they would have, but I imagine that that's really bad for me. They got a blue. They got a blue and a white. Nah. Nah, I think we just ice it right now. Seems like a senseless risk. Okay, alright. This could go bad. Now I'm going to go Knight and Sleeper because I imagine there's some sort of lifelink involved. And so I want to prevent that. Less than or equal. Oh, okay. Another combat research, okay. What is this? 6/5, vigilance. And they will draw 2. Do I just block with Sleeper and not let them draw 2? I think so. Right, because they can't block these anyways. Right, and then what I can do is life. Play underdog. And then this time I might take the hit. Because if I have this and I can kick underdog, or I always say kick, blitz underdog as well, it's just like way different. Alright, what was that? Cathar's Call. Okay, so they're gonna get to make a 1/1, right? So yeah, they can like double block. Oh wait, I couldn't block it? Oh, Secret Bypass. Well, they get like a million things. Please don't cast anything. Wait, what? Hang on. At the beginning of your end step, get a 1/1. So actually, if I give this -1/-1, I get through. Yeah, we'll do this. And then, well, let's hope this works. Oh, I suppose I could have attacked for 2 and then just pumped that twice, right? I think they have effects. Okay. Are you going to be able to hit me for 10? I sure hope not. If they can, that'd be really sad. Doesn't look like it. If they could, they would just slam it. But what happens if you don't draw Light Paws with this deck? I'll be honest, it looks kind of terrible. Like, I understand I'm getting beat up right now, but this looks kind of terrible. Uh-huh. 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 Well, I basically just have to blitz and risk it, right? Okay. This was an annoying one to lose. Like, the double Light Paws draw? Yeah, I guess so, man. I'm at 1. I suppose I don't, but I can't return anything. Like, it's like I can no longer, and this will just attack alone. Yeah. I'll be honest, gang. This deck looks horrible. Like, again, they like. What if they didn't have another light pause? Like, their hand is just terrible. It's terrible. I'm sure there were like other ways. Like, they have like Dech. I guess they got Dorothy, but really, what just happened here is they had two light paws and then went off on it. So it goes, I guess. Kind of obnoxious. They also just happen to like have like good effects like at the times that they needed them. So I mean that happens, I guess, when you draw like a million cards, but it really didn't have to go that way. You know what I mean? Um, great. Anyways, that was the event. It wasn't really an event. So 5 and 3. Maybe could have edged a couple of those out. That's all right though. No, stop. I want to look at the deck. That's what I want to do. Okay, so let's see. Boy, it's tough. Sometimes I feel like I have too many land, but then in other boards, like I think that I don't have enough. You know, it's the kind of thing where it's like if I cut a couple land, I'll just start having hands where it's like I can never use any of my abilities and anything. But I have been like drawing like way too many land way too often, so it's hard to say. It's one of those things that like just like cutting a number or two doesn't actually help all that much. Um, yeah. I have to, like I said, I've mentioned this a few times. I got to look and see like what other one drops would be reasonable to play. Cut down was only okay. I don't even think I really did that anything that good with cut downs this video. So maybe this could be something else. I've considered soul transfer. I am playing enchantments and artifacts, but it's like so rare for that to come up. It's like what I have like one of my 8 enchantments and then one of my 4 artifacts and then my soul transfer and then something in the graveyard I want to buy back on top of a creature I want to kill. And then the rest of the time it's just like a 3 mana removal spell instead of a 4 and a 3 mana removal or 4 or wow. I saw these numbers and I was like 4 and 3, a 2 and a 1 mana removal spell. Maybe possible. Kind of like the idea of Graveyard Trespasser. The problem with Graveyard Trespasser is it's not the best attacker on its own. Just a 3 mana 3/3 isn't exactly a beater. It's fine. It's just, it's not like, it'd be kind of like the worst attacker in the deck based on like at what point it comes down. But it does beat up on my opponent's graveyard synergies, and it does have a drain attached to it. And it's tough to remove with point removal. Though really the biggest weakness of this deck isn't the point removal. It can be sometimes. I mean, they can just like point stuff at all my creatures. But it's more like sweepers, and it's like actually kind of bad against sweepers. You know, it just gets caught up in them and doesn't, for like no value. Possible. That's another possibility. So yeah, there's maybe some adjustments to be made here, but I like the version of this as it is currently. It's pretty good. And all of those games that I lost, I felt like they were winnable, with just with things going just slightly a little bit different. You know, I mean, that's maybe the most meaningless phrase in Magic. I mean, I'm sure that like every game is winnable if things don't go the way that they did. You know what I mean? But I feel like I was never up against a deck where I was like, I don't think I can ever beat this deck, like, which is kind of important. There are situations that are really hard to get out of, but the thing is that's true with like every deck. It's like easy to be like, well, man, you just like run into Wraths or something sometimes. Again, I can't really remember what I even lost to except for like the last match. Like when I'm recording these, my memory of the past as it was going on is just gone, doesn't exist. It's just like I couldn't even tell you. So I can't remember how much Wraths played into me losing at all. But it is a big deal. It is a big deal. But where I was going with that is, you know, so it's like, oh, well, you're playing this deck that just like runs into Wraths. Is that a problem? It's like, yeah, but other decks also have problems too, you know, that are like different and sometimes like bigger. Like I never have to worry about my colors. Other decks just like fall on their face because, you know, their colors don't work out. Like it's really easy to, you know, in games where it's like your opponent just like plays out well and normally and has all their colors and it's like you don't see it as being a problem. You're like, oh wow, this is insane, you know. But that person, if they sit there and they play games all day, they're gonna drop games because they just don't have the right colors at the right time, right? Never happens with this deck, right? Decks with a bunch of tap lands in it, they're gonna lose games because they just like got tap land at the wrong time. They drop a game. You know, it's just things like that. It's like you have to every deck has flaws to it, and so you just kind of have to like accept whatever your deck's flaws are to a degree. Um, but that still it could be made to be more resilient. So I gotta chew on this one a little bit more. I really wish I had 2 more 1 drops. That feels like the right number. 14 feels like the right number, and I only have 12. Yeah, just everything else is so weak. Everything else is so weak. Anyways, that's a video, everybody. My first standard video. I think I'll probably be making some more at some point. Let me know in the comments if there are any specific decks that you want to see from me. I do have a decent collection, and I got a decent number of wild cards, so I can do a few more decks this season probably without much trouble. Um, so yeah, let me know in the comments. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed having you here watching. I enjoyed making it. So please come back for more, and I'll see you next time.